Today we're going to get into the Diablo 4 Sorceress Ice Shard build I've been using all the way up until currently level 85. This is a non-seasonal build after the vulnerability nerf, so there are no malignant hearts involved here. For current patch notes on Diablo 4, please visit Blizzard's website. Now, let's get into the video and see what you need to make this build work. The first thing we're going to cover is the skill tree and what skills and passives this build uses. To start us off, at the top, the basic skills will be 1 point into Firebolt and 1 point into Ice Bolt. We won't actually use Firebolt, the skill is used as one of our 2 enchantment slots. Ice Bolt is just a basic attack used to generate mana, but you'll rarely need to use it. Those 2 points get us to our core skills. Here we are going to put 5 points into Ice Shards. Ice Shards is our main damage skill. We want to get this as high as possible. We will also take Enhanced Ice Shards and then Destructive Ice Shards because vulnerable damage will increase our total damage output, including against bosses. We will also be putting 1 point into the passive Devastation so that we can put 3 points into Elemental Dominance for the extra core skill damage. Next on the list, and equally as important, is our defensive skills. First, we're going to put 1 point into Flame Shield. I use this as my emergency button because it makes you immune to damage for several seconds. We will be taking Enhanced Flame Shield and Mystical Flame Shield for the mana cost reduction. Our next skill is 1 point into Teleport, which is meant to work with our chest piece so that you will see later in the video. In a moment, I'm going to pick up Enhanced Teleport as well. We want this so that we can use it more often. We're going to be putting 3 points into both passives Elemental Attunement and Glass Cannon. We will be putting 5 points into Frost Nova. Frost Nova is a key skill for our build as well. It does not cause damage, but it freezes all of the surrounding mobs, allowing them to take tons of extra damage, and also takes advantage of the second enchantment slot that is used by Ice Shards. You also want Enhanced Frost Nova and Mystical Frost Nova. Next, we're going to take Ice Armor with Enhanced Ice Armor. We don't actually pick up any skills from the Conjuration section, but we are interested in 3 passive skills. The first is 3 points into Precision Magic, giving us more lucky hit chance. Our second is 1 point into Align the Elements, which lets us get to having 3 points into Protection. This gives us a third type of barrier other than Ice Armor and Flame Shield to protect us as much as possible. I'm taking the third point of Precision you see here and putting it into Enhanced Teleport because I already have a ton of luck hit chance. Next is our Mastery skills. Again, I don't use any actual skills here, just passives. I've picked up 1 point in Icy Veil just to have slightly longer barrier time. You want 1 point into Inner Flames, which allows you to put 3 points into Devouring Blaze. This allows you to have 30% increased critical strike damage against immobilized mobs, and in our case, frozen enemies. Next is the ultimate skills. Instead, here I only take 1 point of Fiery Surge, which gives you more mana regeneration. You also want all 3 points of all 4 of our cold passives: Permafrost, Icy Touch, Hoarfrost, and Frigid Breeze. All 4 of these passives gives you a massive damage boost and even more mana regeneration. Last but not least, the key passive we are going to use for this build is Avalanche. Avalanche can help you deal more damage in all situations, including bosses, so I prefer it. Anything giving you mana regeneration or free cast lets you put out more damage per second in the end. That covers the skills portion of the video. The next thing I will share with you is the legendary aspects used for this build. On the helmet, I use Frost Blitz. This may look questionable because of the cooldown timer increase, but it's definitely worth it and makes this skill available much more often. For the chest armor, I use the Raiment of the Infinite Unique armor. On the gloves, I use Frozen Memories. This aspect increases chances of Avalanche key passive to proc, giving you more free casts and more mana regeneration when spamming Ice Shards. Next, on the legs, we use Everliving. I chose this to mitigate damage while surrounded by enemies. On the boots, we have Shared Misery. I can't say for sure how much this helps, but I just replaced the percentage on it with almost 50%, so it should proc quite often to freezing everything around me. On our amulet, we want Elementalist. We have several passives and aspects helping us to keep our mana full as much as possible, making good use of this extra kit chance. On the first ring, I have Piercing Cold. Our other ring is going to have the Conceited aspect on it. We have 2 barriers as well as a passive barrier that we use all the time, making good use of this extra damage. On my weapon, I recently began using Accelerating instead of using something else that gives a percentage of damage. On the focus, we're going to use Control. Again, this is just more raw damage added to everything that gets barraged from our Ice Shards when frozen. You may be tempted to use a 2-handed staff here, and you're welcome to do so if you prefer the higher damage to the slower cast speeds. It also allows me to get more attacks in on bosses before I have to reposition myself, raising my overall DPS. I would also like to take a moment to point out something about the Codex of Power aspects. These can become available very early on by completing dungeons, and most aspects used can be taken from the Codex. However, these aspects will always be applied at the lowest possible values every time. It is much better to use the aspects taken from equipment that you find in-game because they can roll with the aspect range and will be better than every single aspect taken from the Codex. The next thing we'll cover is the Paragon Boards. Let's start with the beginning board and go from there. On the first board, you want to go up the right path to the Elementalist rare node and get all 4 magic nodes around it. From there, you want to go up to the middle and grab the first glyph socket. The first glyph I chose to use is the Elementalist glyph. Later on, you come back and unlock all the intelligence within its range, and you get more non-physical damage. Next, we're going to go up the left path to the Elemental Balance rare node and take the 3 magic nodes for non-physical damage. From here, go north to the first attachment node. Rotate the board clockwise 1 time and attach the Frigid Fate board. First, you're going to make your way to the left to the Oppressive rare node and take all 5 magic nodes around it. From there, make your way towards the center to the glyph socket. I use the Enchanter glyph here, buying all the intelligence within the range for more non-physical damage. Just above this socket is the Weakness rare node and 3 magic nodes with vulnerable damage. After that, to the right of the socket is the Chilling rare node. Continue on to the right to reach the Restorative rare node. Afterwards, go up to reach the Advantage rare node, followed by going left to the legendary node Frigid Fate. After this, continue to the right to the next board attachment gate. Attach the Elemental Summoner board without rotating it. You will go to the first rare node, Reservoir, and get all 5 magic nodes around it. Then when you go right to the glyph socket and use the Flame Feeder glyph. I picked up the Conjurer rare node to the left for the intelligence and the surrounding dexterity nodes. Then to the right of the glyph socket is another rare node called Erudite. Continue on to the right, past that, and down to the Keeper of Elements rare node. And then to the right to the next attachment gate. Once there, attach the Burning Instincts board after rotating it clockwise 2 times. Come into the bottom left corner and grab the Cinder's rare node, the Smoldering Embers rare node as well. Use the Destruction glyph in the glyph socket and purchase all the surrounding dexterity nodes within range for additional critical strike damage. Next, we're going to go back to the Frigid Fate board and take the left attachment gate. I currently don't have enough Paragon points to do this yet. From level 85 to 100, I'm going to achieve this. You would then attach the Ceaseless Conduit board after rotating it clockwise 3 times, and this is going to be on the left part of the Frigid Fate board. Once in, you want to go to the left and grab the glyph socket and use the Exploit glyph, grabbing all the dexterity nodes within range. You can then attach the next board at the bottom of the Ceaseless Conduit board called the Searing Heat without rotating it. There you want to go to the right and down and insert Control into the glyph socket and continue down to the Combustion rare node, grabbing its 2 magic nodes for critical strike damage. Now I would like to cover what gear affixes to look out for that are good for supporting this build. On the helmet, you're going to want to look for cooldown reduction, lucky hit chance with a barrier, total armor percentage, and intelligence. If you're using the unique chest, the Raiment of the Infinite, those stats cannot be re-rolled. For the gloves, you want Ice Shards skills, crit chance with crit damage, and attack speed or lucky hit chance. On the pants, you're going to want damage reduction from close enemies, distant enemies, and burning enemies with total armor percentage. On the boots, you want to find Frost Nova skills, mana cost reduction, intelligence, movement speed, or other useful skills such as ice armor. On the amulet, you want cooldown reduction, Hoarfrost skills or Devouring Blaze skills, with all defensive skills and mana cost reduction. On both rings, ideally we would have vulnerable damage, crit chance with crit damage, and lucky hit chance or more intelligence. On our wand, we're going to look for the highest values of vulnerable damage, core damage, with crit damage, and intelligence or all stats. Core damage is important here because of all the other damage values are calculated by scaling off of your Ice Shards damage. Lastly, on the focus, we're going to be looking for cooldown reduction, crit chance, mana cost reduction, and lucky hit chance or intelligence. To note another reason I have recently switched from a staff to the wand and focus is because the wand and focus come with a built-in 15% lucky hit chance and a 10% cooldown reduction, which is very useful for this build. They can also stack with the affixes that can be rolled separately, but as the same on these weapons. Meaning you can get additional lucky hit chance and additional cooldown reduction on top of what already comes on the weapons. If you have not yet found the Raiment of Infinite, it took me to almost level 80 to find one, but then I found 3 in a row. You would want a chest piece with all forms of damage reduction, close, distant, and burning, with total armor percentage. Basically the same rolls that you want on the pants. That completes my build guide video for Diablo 4 Sorceress Ice Shards build. I hope you learned something. If you watched all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching. Good luck and have fun slaying. Thanks for watching.